Minister, ladies and gentlemen, as you kept your language so complicated over the last 1,000 years, I have to address you in English and can't say a word in Icelandic. I apologize for that. Can Iceland be your partner in building up the hydrogen economy in Germany is one of the questions we want to discuss today. The answer is simple, yes and no. In Germany, the perception of Iceland is beautiful country, fantastic people, very advanced society, a democracy, a lighthouse of human rights, a true perception. At the same time, the perception of Iceland is abundance of energy, especially geothermal. But as I learned when I came to Iceland, this is wrong. It is wrong, especially if you look at hydrogen. It would be in abundance if you spoil the highlands. And geothermal is limited. And Iceland is also considered in Germany as the country of the renewable energy. Hot springs, swimming pools, district heating, no carbon shame necessary if you are in Iceland. Well, true and untrue. Do not look at the carbon footprint of Iceland, which includes car traffic, fisheries, whale watching, and heavy industry. The carbon footprint per capita in Iceland is 12.6 tons per person, and not looking at land use and land use change. In Germany, the footprint for one person is 10 tons, so less than in Iceland, where you have abundance of geothermal energy for heating. In Germany, heating still is done mostly on gas and even coal. Nevertheless, Iceland remains a dream destination for Germans, luckily. But to get the picture complete and to later look into the possibilities of cooperating, one has also to see the figures, like inhabitants. 360,000 Icelanders compared to 84 million inhabitants of Germany. So Germany is 230 times bigger by population than Iceland. The territory of Iceland is 103,000 square kilometers. The territory of Germany is 357,000 square kilometers. That's 3.4 times bigger than Iceland in Germany, but with a much higher population. Looking at the electricity production, the figures are also very interesting. Iceland has a capacity of 2.7 gigawatt of installed electricity production capacity. This is 1.75% of the production capacity in Germany. 1.7% only. Electricity production in Iceland was around 20 terawatt hours a year, which is 4% of the production in Germany. Germany has a production of 500 terawatt hours of electricity approximately a year. However, the picture is still more gloomy if you look at the overall electricity energy consumption in Germany. Whilst with electricity, 50% are already made by renewable energy, which is a lot. The overall energy consumption in Germany from renewables is only 17%. The overall energy consumption in Germany is a figure which is unimaginable, 2,300 terawatts a year. This is 100 times the production of electricity in Iceland. So the electricity production in Iceland would be in comparison to 1% of the electricity, of the overall energy consumption in Germany. These figures we have to bear in mind if we think about cooperation between Iceland and Germany in this area. So let me come to a first conclusion. Iceland's contribution to climate change mitigation is minuscule because of the size of the economy. Even if Iceland becomes carbon-free. Closing down the aluminium industries, for instance, would otherwise lead to carbon leakage. The same applies to data centers. So it is unfair to blame the Icelanders for their high energy consumption, given the fact that Iceland is a cold country, distances are long, and aluminium smelters are providing at least somehow cleaner aluminium than if it were produced on a coal-based economy. At the same time, it is also impossible to base an industrial powerhouse like Germany, the workbench of Europe, with 84 million inhabitants, in a flat continental geographical setting, to a carbon-free environment immediately without importing energy. So Germany will always have the necessity to import energy, which should be in future be from renewable. So blaming Iceland and Germany to their carbon footprint is unfair. We have a common problem, Iceland and Germany, and we do our utmost together to mitigate climate change. The willingness is high, but we have to be realistic of the situation in which we are in. The main conclusion is Iceland will not be able to solve the energy problems of Germany or even Europe, if we look at the figures. But now, the aim of the European Union is to become, in 2050, carbon neutral. Some recent voices in Germany even said that major industrial powers must be carbon-free within 15 years to reach the 1.5 degrees aim of COP21. Is this realistic to reach this aim of 1.5% degrees only of heating the planet? Technically, perhaps, but politically, this will be very difficult. If you imagine that still in 2019, 35% of the general energy consumption in Germany came from oil, 18% from coal, and 25% of gas, the shift now to become carbon-free is gigantic and politically almost impossible. What are the political problems? One of the political problems, for example, is the employment still in coal industry in Germany. The decision was taken now to phase out coal in Germany. No more coal mining in Germany within the next 20 years. This is a difficult political process which causes lots of unemployment in certain difficult areas which are already remote and in decline. So huge efforts have to be done. The same applies to the steel industry. The German steel industry is on a highly competitive world market, difficulty coping with other economies which have cheap energy, but nevertheless he would like to turn our steel industry into a green steel industry. The estimates are that this requires 35 billion of euros of investment into the steel industry to make it a green steel industry. The willingness is there. Our Minister of Economy, Altmaier, has announced a couple of days ago that the German government will finance this change to green steel production. Another political problem we have to tackle, especially on the level of the European Union, is the question of carbon leakage. I managed already the aluminium industry of Iceland. If Europe goes green, we will have perhaps a shift of energy-consuming industry going to other countries, and while there's the elephant in the room always if we discuss this, is China. The aluminium industry of Iceland has a huge competitor in the Chinese aluminium industry. We are competing with them, and nobody believes that China is a carbon-free economy soon. So carbon leakage is a major problem. How can we do this? How we can become carbon-free in Europe and in Germany? Germany is not blessed with hydro. Solar is not efficient in Germany as well. It's installed, but it is still more efficient in tropical countries. Wind, the preferred option, but wind generators run more and more in the problem of acceptance in Germany, in a highly and densely populated country. Nobody wants to have a wind generator now in Germany in its backyard. And if you have followed the political discussion in Germany around the wind energy development, this is one of the biggest political problems in developing renewable energies these days. Offshore wind parks might be an option, but if you look at the map, if you look on the map of the exclusive economic zones of Germany and other countries, you will see it's minuscule. And I just yesterday looked at a map of the planning for installing more wind parks offshore in the exclusive economic zone of Germany. You will see in the future there will be only wind parks. There is nothing left. There are some small natural reserves, Natura 2000 zones, but basically the whole part of the North Sea belonging to Germany will be covered by wind parks. Nevertheless, Germany has established more than 61 gigawatt of capacity of wind energy. Compared to that to the installed electricity generation in Iceland, then you see this is gigantic, and this is done in a densely populated country. For instance, the city or state of Bremen, with just 325 square kilometers, this is Reykjavik and Kopervåg together, has installed 198 megawatts of wind energy capacity. Nevertheless, 25% of the electricity consumption in Germany in 2019 came from wind energy. This is a success story, but doing more will run into huge acceptance problems. But there is no alternative. We have to overhaul our economy without cutting into the welfare and the living standard of the population, which is not acceptable as well. So there is no alternative for Germany than importing energy also in the future, but this must be carbon-free. Is there a solution? Yes, there looks to be a solution for a problem which is explained as storing and transporting renewable energy from other countries. How do you store electricity is still one of the major technical problems, but there is one possibility to store renewable energy and transport it around the whole globe, which is hydrogen. Politically, the question is a different one, which is from which country Germany would like to import hydrogen, and from which country Germany will become dependent in the future through the energy imports. I have an answer, personally, just in brackets. I prefer Iceland. Hydrogen also can be a solution for other areas than just simply the answering to the import question. It's the question of using renewable energy in transport, where batteries are too heavy. Batteries are too heavy, for instance, in heavy trucks, in air traffic, and also in shipping. They seem to be not the option, but there also hydrogen can be the solution. So hydrogen might be the solution for the energy question of the future of Germany. One could wonder why this was not done before. I looked into the history and I realized that in 1966, General Electric had the first prototype of a fuel cell powered van. In the 1990s, Mercedes-Benz presented his NECA 4 based on hydrogen, which had already a reach of 450 kilometers. But the time at this point, in 1919, was not ripe. Coal and oil were still too cheap, and climate change not an issue. This has changed. In 2020, it seems that this is the turning point. Hydrogen is suddenly high on the agenda. The reasons are already explained. The EU, France, and other countries have released their hydrogen strategy. The EU Green Deal can give an enormous push for a market uprun of hydrogen. The market uprun of hydrogen is the key question. Technology is available. We have solutions seen over the years. Iceland is also a technology holder in hydrogen and also in other technologies which are based on electricity and hydrogen for example, like synthetic fuel. This mark of vulcanol is fantastic, by the way. Who has thought about vulcanol? It really gives the sense of being Icelandic and at the same time very good fuel. So, but there might be a misperception which has also hampered the development of hydrogen over the last years. The misperception that it was basically used for transportation. And then there's the chicken and egg problem with hydrogen. If you have no filling stations for hydrogen, you will not buy a car which runs on fuel cells. If you have no fuel cell cars in abundance, then you will not install the system of filling station. So this was a chicken and egg problem, but I think it was also a misperception if you look at hydrogen as a solution only for transport. Hydrogen is today already a commodity widely used in industry. So we have the production of grey hydrogen, for instance, in Germany already as a commodity since a long time. There is a pipeline of 240 kilometers for hydrogen already in some industrial areas in Germany. Hydrogen is a commodity, but hydrogen on the same time is produced on the basis of grey hydrogen, meaning it is only produced on the basis of gas, of natural gas. Hydrogen can be used especially in chemical processes, and as already mentioned, the steel industry. Hydrogen will be a very important commodity for the steel industry. The market for hydrogen is already there. So the chicken and egg problem does not exist. The chicken and egg problem has been overcome if you look into other appliances for hydrogen than in transport. Having this realized, the German hydrogen strategy, which was released this year, shows the determination to support especially the industry to replace grey hydrogen by green hydrogen, to create the legislative framework for this and also to support pilot projects. The need for the hydrogen strategy, as I already said, came clear when we looked in the COP21 targets, which will only be reached when we really go to a hydrogen economy. But now there is the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the production of green hydrogen. The target by the German hydrogen strategy is to install 5 gigawatt of electricity for producing green hydrogen. This shall be done in Germany. Well, 5 gigawatt, it's approximately twice the installed capacity of Iceland. How can we do this? I think it will be very difficult, especially if you look in some other countries which are blessed by geography, and sometimes it's ironical. The big oil producers, for example, UK and Norway, they have not only bigger exclusive economic zones, but also in addition, they can use the potential of hydropower in the case of Norway, and they are also looking now in the technology of CCS, carbon capturing and storage. Norway is at the moment planning huge projects to pump carbon dioxide in the former gas fields. German industry is looking into these projects to cooperate with Norway to produce so-called blue hydrogen, which is hydrogen producing from natural gas and at the same time to engage in carbon capturing. Norway is also engaging with the Netherlands in building such a system. So our rich Norwegian cousins are very well progressing already in this area and are on the way to turn into a hydrogen economy. Developments are very fast. Scaling must be done as soon as possible. From pilot projects, we have to come as soon as possible to really integrated systems. Another pilot project, for instance, is running in Schleswig-Holstein. It is called Westküste 100, West Coast 100. It integrates a refinery, classical fossil refinery, with the heating and gas supply system of the city of Heide, a small town on the west coast of Germany, and also cooperates with Lufthansa and the airport of Hamburg. In this way, the refinery at Heide is producing, on the basis of wind energy and hydrogen, a synthetic fuel which can be used by aircrafts in Hamburg airport. Another example is the city of Hamburg Transport is currently tendering 50 hydrogen buses. Okay, I spoke about transport as perhaps a misperception that this is the main appliance for hydrogen. But taking the example of Hamburg Transport, it shows that there's again the willingness to really go into hydrogen. Before it was some pilot projects, but now they are scaling it up to 50 buses. What I heard from them, the main problem is for them to get real green hydrogen. So whilst there are lots of appliances, the market, the production of green hydrogen is a problem. Let's have a look on air trade, for instance, and I think this shows also the dilemma where Iceland is in. Iceland is a country which economy was based for a long time and will be also in the future on tourism. Coming to Iceland is always a long-haul flight. Can this be green? No, not with the technology we have in place now. But it can be green if you look onto hydrogen and the power-to-X technology. Creating synthetic fuel being used at Keflavik Airport on the basis of hydrogen produced by renewable energy in Iceland could turn the airport of Keflavik into a real green airport, and you could maintain your image of an ecological, clean country. The Icelandic company Carbon Recycling International has shown that they are holding such a technology. Iceland is advanced as a technology holder in many areas, and Icelandic engineers have shown in geothermal and in other areas that they are capable to integrate systems into larger energy producing technologies. So I think Iceland is not perhaps the producer of bulk carbon green hydrogen, but Iceland is a technology holder and can be in any case a partner of Germany for implementing its hydrogen strategy on the basis of their technology. I would invite the Icelandic engineers and companies to go into this area and to look how they can also tap on the money and the financing which is available on the level of the European Union, but also on the level of the German federal state. Germany is currently seeking partners for the production of hydrogen. And the focus are countries with high potential of renewable energy and being negatively hit by the phasing out of oil and gas. Morocco and Algeria, for instance, are countries where the German government is looking at developing energy partnership to go for hydrogen. Also countries like Chile or Australia are considered as potential car partners for the future reliable import of hydrogen. So distance does not play a role. Unfortunately, when I studied the document of the German hydrogen strategy, I've never seen Iceland mentioned. Why? I was wondering, especially if you look into history, approximately 30 years ago, it was already discussed between the city of Hamburg and Iceland to cooperate on the import of hydrogen. Perhaps Iceland is considered to be too small. Yes, you are small, but you have a huge potential. And I would argue we need reliable partners, Germany, technology holders, countries of experience, countries which are also looking to diversify their economy, countries who are looking for new customers for their energy, but also countries which are close and which are politically stable. Close partners we need in this market run-up of hydrogen. So hydrogen, Iceland might not be the potential producer of the commodity, but Iceland is a partner in holding the technology. Let me make a final summary. The current installed electricity generation capacity in Iceland is too small in comparison to the needs. But for 360,000 Icelanders, to have only a small share in the global market or in the market for 84 million people looking for green hydrogen might be a huge chance. Iceland will not solve energy problems of Germany or Europe, but Iceland can provide its share and Iceland can prosper as a carbon negative country. It can become a technology holder, especially in integrating systems. But the clock is ticking for climate change and also for us becoming together the avant-garde of a hydrogen economy and technology. I'd like to ask, where is the Icelandic hydrogen strategy? Unfortunately, the minister had to leave, so we should ask her, where is the hydrogen strategy of Iceland? The people of Iceland should have a knowledge-based choice and decide their future in participation in the hydrogen world, in which way and on which basis. Iceland will in any case have to make a sovereign political decision whether it will use its potential for renewable energy to more contribute to climate change mitigation. One will ask perhaps one day, Iceland, why haven't you used your renewable energy potential to mitigate climate change more and help those who are on this densely populated continent to reach the climate, the aim of becoming 2050 carbon free. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for very interesting presentation. Næsta dagskrá langtíma orkustefna fyrir Ísland og það Guðrún Sævarsdóttir, dósent við HR og formaður starfshóps mótun orkustefnu sem flytur. Gjörðu svo vel, Guðrún.